Today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Did you know that in order to get your stimulus check, you had to have filed your taxes for the 2018 or 2019 tax year? If you haven't filed yet, there's good news. The Tax Defense Group can rush e-file your taxes. They know that millions of Americans are struggling, and they want to make sure that you get your stimulus check sooner rather than later. Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973 to get started. And you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. And our other sponsor for today is Writer Junkie. Due to the global pandemic, Writer Junkie is offering their resume writing service for only $100. And with the 3-day turnaround, you can't beat that price and delivery time. Call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios, and they'll get right to work. Welcome to TalkSpot. This is Marcus, and today I'm joined by the UrinatingTree YouTube channel host. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, sorry, man. I'm doing well myself. I'm getting distracted by all the shit that's going on. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, dude, it is definitely crazy, and I mean, I know for your channel, yeah, you cover a lot of sports topics. Or would you say that's like a fair assessment that your channel's primarily like sports?
I mean, this recent stuff's been just a blip. I'll be back to sports in no time.
How you been feeling with absolutely no sports happening outside of occasional UFC events and WrestleMania 2 months ago?
Honestly, as weird as it sounds, it's kind of just like been status quo. I've been just living life as is. It's been boring, more or less. Not much else you can really say. It's just I've been mostly working on long-term projects. So I've been keeping busy.
Well, dude, that's definitely good, man. I mean, you're right, dude. I mean, it's been, dude, just missing sports. It just feel like
it doesn't feel like it's there anymore.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Like, I mean, before the whole virus broke, I mean, you know, I was reading about, like, I'm a huge Lakers fan, so I was reading about Laker news, and, you know, occasionally I look into, like, Rams stuff, or, like, I live right outside of LA, and, yeah, I'd be reading this stuff all the time, or just NFL news, and, dude, I don't even think I've searched for the NFL in, like, 2 months on Google. Like, I've
mostly just the draft, and that was really about it.
Dude,
this is usually quiet time for the NFL to begin with. We're mostly focused on NHL Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, well,
it's what will be happening right now.
That's
Baseball.
Right. Dude, that's right. The Stanley Cup, would it be what, like game 2 right now, roughly around that?
Like game 1 or game 2. I know it'd probably be starting up the finals.
Dude, out of the major sports, which one are you the most passionate about?
Probably hockey.
Really?
So that's usually my favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Who's your team?
Penguins. I mean, I grew up around them, so that's why most of the Pittsburgh teams I'm usually a fan of.
Are you originally from the Pittsburgh area?
Yeah, I'm born and raised.
Dude, that makes sense why you had such passion when you did the Days of Our Steelers.
Mm-hmm. It got bad for a while there. Like, by the halfway through, I'm just sitting there like, please stop. Please stop.
Dude, I don't know how
it just never stopped, and I felt sad.
Dude, I don't know how many entries you did of Days of Our Steelers, but I remember, like, I don't know what episode number I came in, but, like, I remember watching, like, several, and just, like, the progression of, like, to me, it felt like I could kind of tell that, like, it was just more saddening over time as you were doing them. Maybe I'm off, but...
Yeah, like, it got bad. And then, like, the season, like, the team collapsed in itself.
Dude, what was wrong with the Steelers? Like, what? I mean, like, I wanted to. That was actually one of the questions I already written down. But like, how? Like the Steelers. I mean, I'm not like the biggest NFL fan, but I feel like over the last, I don't know, however many years, 5 or 10 years, I feel like the Steelers are perpetually like a really good team. Like, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in like a little while, but like, they're perpetually always a good team. Especially like 2 or 3 years ago, like very, you know, they're always like in the title contention and all this stuff. And I just don't understand how they have so many issues, but they're also still like so good at the same time. Like, what the heck is going on?
Organizational structure, like they've had that for a while. They usually either have like a strong defense, and then they had all the talent on offense, and then it all fell apart. They've always had issues on defense, especially in the secondary. That's why they can never like really get above like New England. Or we'd have injuries at random times. Like I know Le'Veon's been injured for a bit. AB had an injury, I think, in 2015.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, do you feel like with all the drama that
or they play down, but that's pretty standard.
For the Steelers, I mean, who's responsible? Do you think for all the drama and just all the
I think
craziness?
it's a combination of a lot of different issues. So it's no specific person.
Well, who does Steelers Nation, out of the main big players, who does Steelers Nation like give the most crap to? I guess I don't know how
I'd
to
say
describe it.
recently it's probably Antonio Brown and Le'Veon.
I mean, I've thought,
Antonio Brown now.
who's like I mean, does Big Ben, does he like, do a lot of Steelers fans really like kind of guard him and protect him, or is there kind of a lot of
Certain people do. It's like mixed, I would say. A lot of people can't stand him, but a lot of people like him. I mean, a lot of people are like rallying him to like, get us back to the promised land, yet he's a 38-year-old quarterback coming off of a major elbow surgery. So, yeah.
Do you think that this coming season could potentially be his last season?
I think he has 2 more years on the contract. So, like, I have a feeling, like, I'm not going to say he's going to have a bad year. It just would be it might be really sad. It's like Polamalu's last year. He just wasn't the same player, and it just didn't feel right.
Dude, that would suck, man. I mean, dude,
I don't know how I'd feel about that. Because, like, as a person, never really liked him. As a player, though, he was good. And he's a Hall of Famer. So, I don't know how to really feel about that.
Dude, I also think that for a lot of fan bases that just hate the Patriots, I think a lot of them looked at the Steelers as, like, the hope of stopping the Patriots. So, like, when they would play, I would always root for the Steelers. So I'm like, oh, man, like, I just
Nobody wants the Patriots to win.
Yeah, and I for many years, it seemed like to me the Steelers were the only real like obstacle to stopping the Patriots from getting to the Super Bowl. So every time they played, that was always
never really beat them. So,
dude, that's so crazy, man. I mean, like, I feel like they had. I mean, how many years would you say over the last, like, I don't know, let's just say 5 seasons?
Talent-wise, they would have them beat a lot of years.
So, what do you think? Was it the coaching, or what was it then?
It was a combination. I mean, Belichick, like, always outcoached Tomlin. Defensively, the Steelers always lacked. Like, schematically, they'd always go zone D. Yeah, Tom Brady picks apart zone D. Like, they just, like, short pass it to oblivion and just keep the ball.
I don't know. I was disappointed to kind of just see how, they didn't stop them. I mean, I think they would have, over the last few years, I think it would have made a really interesting Super Bowl with the Steelers being there. So when it comes to, like, at least out of the major sports, like, are a lot of people from, like, the Pittsburgh area, like, are they rivals with Philadelphia, or is it kind of like a lot of people in Pittsburgh, do they like this?
It's like rivals. I mean, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are pretty much at each other's throats. So, like, I mean, from hockey, it's bad. Basketball, if we had teams, it would probably be bad. Baseball, not really, because we're not in the same division. Football, we're in different conferences. But it's still a big event when it happens.
So when it comes to, like, basketball, like, who do like people in Pittsburgh, who do they go for? I mean, do they go for the 76ers, or do they just...
I would say probably the Cavs. I know a lot of people were Cavs fans when LeBron was there. Now it's just like bandwagoners, probably.
Dude, that's
Cavs fans in the shadows.
Dude, that's interesting, man, because I would think it's like, okay, 76ers, they have a lot of hype around them for the last couple seasons.
No, we'd rather die than be fans. You don't understand the Keystone Power.
I like that, man. Dude, that's like in LA, man. I think people live outside of Los Angeles. They think that, like, people in Los Angeles would ever root for, like, the Clippers. Dude, if the Clippers won a title this year or any year, dude, the reception in Los Angeles would be so, like, eh.
Well, okay. People flock to champions in LA. LA does not give a shit about anyone besides winners and maybe the Lakers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, if the Lakers win a title this year, like, people in LA,
so fucking insufferable.
Dude, they would. That's true. It really.
It's just like that. That's why people are like always like trying to dunk on me for like the Lakers, but it's like you had serious fucking issues. You're literally 2 players and a bunch of ring chasers. Like that's not really how to build a team, but it's working, I guess. I don't know.
Dude, for the Lakers, man, I mean, dude, that's the problem. I mean, I feel like out of all of, like, the really good teams in the NBA, the team that I feel like if you're a fan of, like, the way that the normal, like, in the past how the NBA would be played, I feel like the team that you should really root for are the Bucks, right? Like, that's a team that, like, their best players were drafted, developed by the organization.
Built from within, yeah. I'm usually like, like the Pacers and the Jazz, I think, are well-built teams, but can't get over the hump.
Yeah, but at least for the Bucks, you look at them and say, like, okay, like, this team, it kind of has a little bit more of that feel to it as, like, the Warriors did in 2015 and 16. But yeah, even like the Clippers and the Lakers, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm a Lakers fan, like I said, but I mean, dude, both of those teams, it's like, I mean, for the Clippers, who's the most I mean, the guy that they developed and have a you know, an
Probably
affinity.
Montreal. Was Montreal Harrell on that team? I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like Montrezl Harrell. It's like, I mean, how good is he? And for the Lakers,
Spots. I don't know.
but even
But he was a former Laker.
exactly. So it's like he doesn't even have that same thing. But yeah, I mean, for like, you know, the Lakers. I mean, it's Kuzma and Caruso. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
LeBron-
even Kuzma was nearly traded too.
yeah. I mean, it's a totally different vibe, and that's why, like, I feel like, you know, for the Lakers or the Clippers to win a title, it's just. I don't know, man. It feels different than like even like when Kobe was here and he won a title. I don't know.
Well, Kobe was homegrown. He was LA.
It feels different when the guy's homegrown. You know, it's like even with the Warriors' titles. Like I think probably a lot of Warriors fans 20 or 30 years from now they're gonna look back at the titles or the one title without Durant and they're gonna like that's gonna.
Title's going to be the one because a lot of that team was authentic. I think the only ones were like Iguodala and Bogut.
Yeah.
Because they had, like Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, Harrison Barnes. A lot of homegrown talent on that team.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, yeah, I agree with you, man. Like it's weird with basketball, I mean, because that's the sport that I follow the most. But it does feel like there's a lot of I don't know how to describe it. I guess like kind of like we alluded to earlier, this idea of kind of like mercenary.
It's the star.
Yeah,
and then it's just ring chasing. It's just like it's not fun to me to build a team that way.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, honestly, you look at like even like the Celtics in '08 or the Miami Heat with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. It's like,
yep, those teams killed the NBA. To be honest with you, because it became about the super team and about like joining forces. Like you can't build a team; it's just like appeasing star players.
Well, do you think some of the issues that might exist? I mean, because I've thought about this a lot for the NBA, but maybe it applies to other major sports too. Like, do you think that the major sports in the U.S. right now are like there's too many teams within that sport? Like, do you think like if you cut the
I think
NBA,
they're trying to expand too quickly? I think, especially with MLS, I don't think the number of teams are the issue. That'd be an issue if there were like 40, because the talent pool I feel is pretty level. There's no like have and have not per se. They mainly just like I know MLB wants to expand, but I think that's a huge mistake.
well, how many teams in the MLB do you think are actually like good?
It's between big and small market. I mean, small market has to play a different game than the big markets. But they want to expand, and you have cities that are having issues building attendance and maintaining stadiums. Like you want to add Charlotte when you have issues in Tampa Bay, Oakland, Florida, and a couple other cities.
That's a fair point.
Like
I mean,
Tampa Bay wants to do half and half in Montreal.
really, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, that was like a rumor for a while ago because like their last stadium proposal fell through. That might be a video I might do, just like how like the Tampa Bay Rays and their stadium issues, because like that's alarming because that's a really good baseball team and they still can't get people to show up.
Dude, that's really fascinating, man. Because I mean, we've kind of seen like I think I saw a report. I mean, again, this is probably applies to all sports, but I explicitly saw it for the NBA. But it said something that since the whole virus began, that like the NBA's revenue has dropped down to like $0.
Well, that's how most leagues are because their revenues are based on ticket sales, concessions, souvenirs, and ad revenue, TV revenue. And none of that's happening. Like, I don't know what the MLB's doing. They need to get back on the field and fast because if they lose a season, and I thought they'd be the ones that come back, they're in serious trouble because their CBA expires. They could be going right into a player strike.
Dude, I can honestly, man, if you're like Rob Manfred, like, dude, like, or Manfield, sorry, like, dude, I can't even, like, dude, this whole crisis of leadership that he's had over the last, whatever you want to say, 6 months, I mean, he has had just.
He's C-League 2.0. We all knew this, but, like, it's just, I understand with Houston, he wants to bury that as far as he can. Yeah. Because he doesn't want people to talk about it 50 years down the road. It's like, I may have grandkids someday, and they ask me, hey, Grandpa, why is there this huge asterisk next to the Houston Astros in 2017? And then I have to go into this long story about trash cans and signal stealing and Jose Altuve's little microphone or whatever it is. They don't want to talk about that. It's the same reason why they let the steroid era just, like, fly by until it didn't become profitable for them.
I mean, I just can't. I mean, dude, that's one thing. I just never understood with the MLB why they weren't. Like, why they didn't punish the Astros more? Why they didn't punish the Red Sox? I mean, I think you're right. They wanted to
because they don't want to deal with it. It's a slap in the wrist, and they don't want to talk about it years down the road.
I mean, do you think that kind of thing, though, do you think it hurts, like, the integrity of the sport, though?
The integrity of the sport was kind of tainted with the steroid era. And I mean, it kind of does, but at the same time, you can't fix the past.
I agree with that. I mean,
like, Dodgers fans are pretty salty about it, but in 2017, they still lost. They lost on the road, so I don't know if they'd really have the signal stealing issues there. 2018, like, they just got dominated by the Red Sox. So I don't think there's really any stealing there, I'd say. And then there were a bunch of other times they just blew it. Like this last year against the Nationals.
Dude, that was totally unexcusable. The Dodgers
Robert set up Kershaw to fail.
Yeah.
He really did.
Dude, in the last few years, man, I have totally been on the wagon of firing Roberts. Like, there's so many, like, dude, honestly, like, I mean, the last couple of years I've been getting more into baseball because so many people I know are really into it. And it's kind of a little bit of the bandwagon thing. I'll acknowledge that. Like, I mean, I'm living out here, so it's kind of like, there's a lot of Dodgers interest. But, dude, the more I learn about, just kind of see news around the MLB, like, and the Dodgers specifically, I mean, dude, it's ridiculous, man. I hate the leadership of the Dodgers, the way that they act and the cheapness.
They throw money around. They've thrown over $1 billion at the team since new ownership came in. And you're telling me you can't even win a championship with that? That's embarrassing.
It is, dude. It really is, man. And I think it's really frustrating, dude. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, it's just like, do the Yankees, have they had like a similar issue to that? Like, I know they haven't
made a World Series in over a decade.
But haven't they also had like a huge?
They had a rebuilding era, so yeah, like they bought a championship in like 2009, but otherwise it hasn't been anything.
Dude, and this could have been the year, dude, where the Yankees are looking good, the Dodgers were looking before,
Yeah, the Red Sox were literally rebuilding because they want to save money, and like they literally, I mean, you have David Price and Mookie Betts. Could you imagine if Mookie Betts doesn't play a game for the Dodgers?
That's a disaster.
So you just threw money at David Price and Mookie Betts for nothing.
Dude,
that'd be horrible.
That would be a disaster. I mean, I'm sure there's some people in the Dodgers brass that are just pulling their hair out about that potential. Well, what's the holdup at the MLB? I mean, like, they're
dealing the players. The owners want to cut so much of the player's salary without it being like prorated or like pushed back. So they just want to cut like significant salary to save their own asses instead of come to an agreement. Mm-hmm. So the MLB owners, like, I get like they want to save their money, but they look like terrible right now.
Dude, like you were saying earlier, man, with the MLB, I mean, it seems like out of the major American sports, I mean, I would have thought the MLB would have been the safest one.
I thought would have been like the first one to come back.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the NBA and NHL would have been canceled, but they're eager to just like get revving and get the money back. Even though I don't agree with the NHL's like plan in the end. I mean, there's a long way to go in that regard.
So is the NHL, are they basically doing what's now being proposed for the NBA, this kind of really convoluted playoffs?
They're doing a 24-team playoff. The first 4 teams in each division get like a round robin to seed the first 4. And then the other, like, the 8 through the 24, or the 9 through the 24, would be playing a 5-game series to play in for the playoffs. And then the rest would be 7 games. They're looking to do it in 2 locations. Mm. And then it's, like, the real issues with the draft lottery, because a team that could potentially be playing for the Stanley Cup has a chance to win the first overall pick. And that's what people are upset about.
Wow. So this playoffs, essentially, what, only 6 teams aren't going to be in the playoffs?
Yeah, 7.
Potentially? 7? Okay.
7 teams are officially done. The regular season's over.
But for everyone else, you do actually have a chance at the title. I mean, if you have a chance at the title, I mean, what the heck was the point of the regular season then?
Well, you couldn't have predicted what happened.
Well, that's...
And my issue, too, is you're dealing with 3 months of complete inactivity. No practice, and you're going right into playoff hockey, so there's a huge problem. Basketball might be a little easier, but even then, I mean, you're dealing with like potential like coronavirus issues.
Do you think for the NHL, do you feel like whoever wins the title this year, do you think there'll be like an asterisk next to that title? Like, let's
Fans
say
will probably put an asterisk on it, even though technically, I mean, you did play nearly a full season.
Well, I mean, who are the favorites? Like, who are some of the teams that were really good at the time when the season ended for the NHL? Like
Bruins, the Lightning were always up there. The Flyers were looking really good. The St. Louis Blues were also looking really good. Avalanche, Vegas. So, I mean, the problem is you can't even predict anything because all momentum's gone.
dang, dude, I don't know how I would feel if that many teams could potentially win a title. I mean, that's like with the because I mean I've been following really closely what's been planning for the NBA, and dude, as I hear this and how I hear there's all these teams that have like the potential to get in, and they want to totally change up the whole playoff bracket. Like, I don't know if I'm really that big of a fan of just changing everything around when you started off the season thinking we're gonna have the normal playoffs. You know, the eighth seed versus the first seed in each conference, and then we'll just play it like that. Like to now. Expanded.
Well, what they want is they probably want a Lakers versus Clippers. That's probably what they want.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that they do want to orchestrate that happening.
Yeah,
but I mean, do you like that? Like, do you think that that's?
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, neither am I.
But it just becomes mercurial.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've heard. Gosh, I'm trying to think of who I've. Was it Colin Cowherd? I heard him talk about it because I've heard a lot of talk on the Ringer where they're really promoting this idea and kind of changing up things and how it would be fun. And I really don't know how like fair or equitable it would be to like the really good teams or even like that tier below, like, you know, teams kind of like the Rockets or Celtics or the Jazz where it's like, you know, like you won all these games and it's kind of like now there's some weird funkiness that's going to happen that, you know, might pair you against a team that you never would have thought you were going to play in the playoffs. Like, I don't know, like, and I've seen the like proposed brackets. It's like the Nuggets would be playing the Raptors. It would be on the same side. And it's kind of like, these are two teams that like, they only play twice in the regular season. And like, I mean, if you're like, I don't know, Jokic or you're Pascal Siakam, like, dude, you might have like not even played in one of those games. Like these teams like have like there's like no rhythm to them at all. Like there's no bad blood, there's no nothing. And does that, I don't really think that is fair for the Nuggets who are the third seed in the West to like have to play some like team in the East that they're not familiar with at all.
Of course. But it'll be in a neutral territory, so.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I mean, I think what's probably happening too, I think for some of these sports, maybe they're just thinking that if they play with the formats, that it's going to increase the ratings when they come back. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of that has to be the rationale, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you think something like that? Do you think...
It would just be creepy, like, just watching it with no fans.
Did you hear about how there was I think it was either a soccer game or baseball game in South Korea? Did you hear that in the stands?
They had blow up dolls.
Dude, I was thinking about that. It's like, okay, that like to you or I, that might just sound like kind of like, you know, it's like what a gaffe. But imagine you're that guy, right? Like you're the head of whatever your job title is that had to gather them together. Like, dude, so you had to like, you know, like they probably had to like special order them and they had to do all this stuff. Like no one ever thought to themselves like maybe blow up sex dolls isn't the way we should go.
What they should do is like the old like Madden games from the early 2000s. Just have like cardboard cutouts, like just raise their hands up and down every time there's a big play.
I mean, at least that would look as bad as like. I mean, doesn't sex dolls just sound like a kind of like a weird like? Do you want that in the press release? It's like MLB is coming back this season. There's going to be sex dolls in the stands. Like, I mean, would you? I mean, if I was one of these like one of these teams or whatever, if I was the head of PR, I would say, you know. Let's put something beyond, you know, sex dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I wanted to ask you, man, because I know that one of the series that you've done is kind of like the locales of like all these like different franchises, you know, the ones that have kind of really suffered over a long period of time. Let's just say over the last, however many years you want to say, 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, what fan base you think out of all the major sports is like the most, I guess, in pain? Or which fan base you think has been suffering the most over the last 10, let's just say 10 years?
In terms of any sport?
Yeah, any sport. Like which fan base you look at them and you just feel pity for them?
I'd say either Browns or Knicks fans. Like they're just dealing with shit everywhere. And their ownership is garbage. So that's why they will get no peace.
Dude, the sad thing about the Browns is like, I mean, this last year, everyone was, or a lot of people were like, oh, the Browns look good. And there was a lot of optimism. And then maybe that's even worse than the Knicks because at least the Knicks have no optimism. You know, they have nothing to look forward to. And I guess I don't know, maybe you just plan on being disappointed. Whereas a team like the Browns, like, I mean, people were seriously saying that they had a chance to win the Super Bowl last year.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, yeah, that would definitely. That's another weird thing too. Is like you look at the Knicks and it doesn't even make sense why they suck.
It's because James Dolan and years of being garbage. Like they're not even like a trendy place to go. Look at what happened when they didn't even get KD or Kyrie and they went to the Nets.
Did you see that? Didn't James Dolan? Didn't he say that? He didn't even offer Durant the max.
They didn't want the max because he had the torn Achilles. That's also something you have to consider. Like, if the Nets come back, would KD be able to return?
Dude,
I know the Warriors are out, so there won't be any Klay Thompson.
Yeah, dude. I mean, see, that's something that I've thought too. It's like, okay, like, you know, under normal circumstances, I don't know, like that. I guess, like, if I was a Bucks fan, right, and I mean, I guess this would be more related just to the virus in general. But let's say the playoffs do start. Well, obviously they are going to start later than they normally would have. If Durant and Kyrie are able to come back and they're healthy, and let's say they beat the Bucks in the playoffs, let's say if they just keep it how things are normally anyways, you know, Eastern Conference, Western Conference. I mean, dude, I think I'd be pretty upset if I was a Bucks fan where I'd think to myself, like, oh, man, we had this opportunity, and then, you know, this virus strikes, and then we lose to the Nets because they gave the Nets enough time for Durant and Kyrie to, you know, basically get back to full health. I mean, that would suck.
Yeah.
But, well, man, so, dude, do you want to share any of the cool, like projects that you have going on, or any, like, do you have, like, any kind of, like, big, like, series coming up that, like, on your channel or anything like that?
I know the big request has always been one I've wanted to work on for a while, the Maple Leafs half century of failure. So that's, like, the big one. And I'm waiting to see how this playoff goes. But it's going to be done either way, whether they win a championship or lose.
That's fair, man. Well, dude, yeah, man. Well, yeah, thank you so much, dude, for coming on today. How can we kind of keep up with everything you're doing? Like, I mean, how can we, because I saw that you have, like, a Reddit and a Twitter and all that stuff. What would be the best place to follow you?
Probably the best places would be my account, UrinatingTree on YouTube, UrinatingTree on Twitter. I have, like, a subreddit, Reddit_UrinatingTree. I don't run it. I don't do anything with it. It's just like a community that grew over time organically. That's really about it.
All right, well, sweet, man. Well, definitely. Well, yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time, and dude, I look forward to future videos that you have coming out, man.
Hey, dude, it's a pleasure to be on. I mean, problem is I got to get out of this damn funk I'm in, but it's hard to focus with all the shit going on.
Dude, I 100% hear you, man, and dude, I believe better days are ahead. We're just, I don't know. It's like the Dark Knight, where it's like it's the darkest before the dawn. I feel like that a little bit, but I don't know, man. All right, dude. Well, yeah. Well, have a good rest of your day, man. And I'll talk to you later.
All right, peace out, man.
All right, take care. We want to thank today's sponsors again, the Tax Defense Group and Writer Junkie. You can contact the Tax Defense Group at 800-850-7973. And Writer Junkie's phone number again was 805-587-7966.